Hello and welcome to another video tutorial. In this video I'll be showing you some tips and tricks in working with the Storyteller. So I'll be going through the full context menu and covering the properties window, the link manager, the character link manager, the timeline, various functions in the timeline, the story and info settings here, the scenes window. So I'll be covering these today. I'm going to be starting in this example project. The first thing I'm going to want to show you is group selecting and deleting. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to select group select. I'm just going to drag over all of these nodes here. And then I can hit Control Delete to delete these nodes. Or I can go to group select here, select this node, right click, and just click delete selected node, delete that. Now we're gonna go to a separate scene here because I'm gonna show you a, actually before I do that, let me just finish going through the context menu. So again, we have file, save, new, we have display to display the grid on the project info. Story info settings takes us to this window. Now let's start from the overview here. In the overview section, what you can do is that you can double click this image area. Once you double click the image area, you can then select whatever image you want to represent the project. So I'll go ahead and select this image to represent this project. And we can see the duration of our story here, and the gameplay length is automatically generated, and the amount of scenes that are in this particular project. And if we go to the scenes window, we can see that we have indeed 2 scenes. Now continuing from here, we'll see all the characters that exist in our project. You can go to your character by left clicking on it, and here you can enter a summary of a story. It's not 100% necessary. So let's jump to the character, since the character tab is indeed next. So let's click the character. It takes us to the character tab. And here we'd also have a list of all our characters in the project, and we can select all the characters here, and any character that's selected, we get an overview of their information. And from here we can change our character's name. This one's now Ter. It says that's 19, male, height 5'10", supporting character. You can enter the backstory, what's the motivation of the character, physical appearance, and one of the most fun parts is the voice sample. So if you're handing off a character for others to do voiceovers, but you already have a feel for what you want the character to sound like, the kind of personality you want your character to have, then you can just attach a voice sample to your character. So you can do this 2 ways. If you already have a pre-recording, you can double click here and you can go to whatever audio clip you want, select it, and then it gets placed in here and is saved in once you save your project. Or you can double click here and then add a voice like this, and then that voice clip is now saved, and it saves it in the project folder located here. And then if we play this back, okay, you see. All right, and then what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna add a lot more voice clips to for example, how does the character sound when he's angry, sad, happy, surprised? You'll have a list of voice samples that you can add to it to build up your character's personality. And that covers it for the character settings, and there's some more that needs to be added to it, but that covers it for now. Now next is the scenes, which is even more basic. So you just have an overview of what the scene is about and a physical description. This is the environment within your scene. Is it a mountainous landscape? Is it in a dungeon? You can describe that here briefly. All this information will be exported when you're ready to share your project, and we'll get to that tab a little bit later. Now let's jump over to the settings tab. Here, if we're recording, so I'm using this Meteor mic, so I'll select that one. And if you want to save your character images to the project itself, because right now any image you set, any character image, or well, any character image that you set is not generated inside of your project. It's kept to where it is, and each time you open the project, it reads the file path and then creates that round image for your character. And that's the one that I'm most comfortable with. If you want to have those images in your project, you can go ahead and do that. Now, I've already shown you text mode and auto time text dialog. Now we have another setting called storyboard mode, which is automatically turned on when you create a storyboard project. Now let's quickly turn this function on, and then let's go to the Storyteller. If we just move over to the last node here, which is a dialog node, and we hit Control forward arrow, we'll see that we have a storyboard area which will appear to us. And in the storyboarding area, you just double click in the black space, and then it's gonna bring up a nice little window for you. And from there, you can select an image to match your, let's go and find a good image here. You can then select an image to match your project. Let's go and try this. So like that. And then we just delete the image here. Don't want that ugly image. And then we can also simultaneously use an audio recording by double clicking this waveform image. We double click that and we insert in an audio clip, and the clip will play for the duration of the dialogue itself. So that's a good point to remember. So it's either we choose to let the dialogue length be as long as the audio, or let the dialogue length be as long as the dialogue itself. And we pick the dialogue. Now we still have auto time text dialogue on, so we need to enter the dialogue for it to generate the length. All right, now let's hit Control Z to undo all those changes. That's taking long, so let's just right click, or just select the node and hit Control Delete. Control Delete to delete those nodes. Now let's head back over to the Story tab here. And now let's finally jump over to Share. So I've shown you the share functions in the previous video, where you can select the scene in your story that you want to export, the character. Do you want to export an overview of the story, which is, if you remember correctly, overview here. Then you have physical description. You can export that, and you can also export for your characters. This would be their overview, their information relating to the character. Now back in Share, you can export the sound effect, voiceover. Actually, the sound effect and voiceover aren't structured as well as they should be in the export. So this is really the biggest thing that we need to fix now. Other than that, the exports still work fine. except for just a couple audio clip related exports. All right, so we could just select these and export them. We just click here and then export. We have to select characters first. We'll export those. And that really just covers all these settings here. If you click this, you see that the function is currently in development, and it's asking you to use this export instead. For the Storyteller, the export isn't the key itself. The main goal here is to have everything be moved into the game bridge, and the HTML export is just a temporary filler for this, for it to actually see the result of what you've created and see the flow of your stories. But the aim is to actually use it in game. All right, so this, before we conclude this video, there's one more. So this is your scenes window. So whenever you create a new scene here, you click this plus button to create a new scene. When you select the scene, it takes into an empty scene. If you go back to the scene and we delete that scene, it takes us back to the scene that we're previously in. All right, now so we can rename these scenes. Since we don't want them to have the same name, we just double click and then say that one's called My. That one's called Name. So now if we go to the story here, we can see that's My and Name, the two scenes. All right, so that covers this video. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next videos.